Hello everyone, welcome to the Humber Arboretum open house session. We will be starting in just 1 minute. While we're waiting, you're looking at photos from the Humber Arboretum, which is located at Humber College North Campus, and which you will be learning about in just a moment with Jimmy Vincent from the Humber Arboretum. Jimmy, I'm going to put your mic live there. They're still watching the slideshow, but wait, you're still muted, Jimmy. I think I tried to unmute you while you tried to unmute you. So hang on a second, unmute yourself. Or can you? Maybe that's me.
Hello.
There we go.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen just to switch over to my PowerPoint. Okay. Oh, I clicked off the wrong screen. 1 second here.
Put you live, Jimmy, so they are watching you now. Welcome everyone to the Humber Arboretum's open house. Jimmy, if you would like to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Marilyn, aka Minnow. Just so everyone knows, we have nature names at the Arboretum. So if I drop a thank you to Minnow, that is a real member of the Arboretum team, Marilyn, our communications guru who is working behind the scenes. So if you do have any questions or anything like that, we will be doing a little Q&A at the end of the presentation. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for joining us. I am super excited to talk about the Humber Arboretum today, talk about some of the student services, and just some of the really cool opportunities that students have with connecting with the Arboretum on site. So let's get started. All right, before we start though, it's very important that we have our land acknowledgement, especially so because the Humber Arboretum and a lot of our learning takes place out on the land or is connected to the land, and that has very, very deep roots in Indigenous knowledge, and that is something that's very special to us within the Arboretum and Humber College. Humber Arboretum and Humber College are located within the traditional and treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. Known as Adobigo, the place of the alders in Michi-Saugig language, the region is uniquely situated along the Humber River watershed, which historically provided an integral connection for Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Wyandot peoples between the Ontario Lakeshore and the Lake Simcoe Georgian Bay regions. Now home to people of numerous nations, Adobigo continues to provide a vital source of interconnection for all. And as I said, I have a very, very deep connection with the land of the Arboretum. And I think that when I think of Indigenous peoples from around the world, that one thing that stands true, and they would say the same, is their connection to the land and their knowledge and their understanding of the land and all the living things on that land, be small or large, and their place within that ecosystem. And I think that it is such a unique opportunity that students have to have a place like the Humber Arboretum on site. And so that is one of the reasons why on times like this, I get so excited to talk about students and to show them, because let me tell you, there's lots of times when students come to the Humber, this is more so in the past, and they'd never heard of the Arboretum. It's a big property, but the Arboretum is sort of set in the back, and it is just amazing. So let's showcase some of the great things that the Arboretum has to offer. First, we're going to start off with a little bit of the history, and we'll talk about today's team. You already talked myself. My name is Jimmy Vincent. I am the Education, Camps, and Community Outreach Coordinator for the Humber Arboretum and Center for Urban Ecology. And my colleague, Marilyn, I will let you introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Marilyn Campbell. I'm the Communications Assistant for the Arboretum. I will mostly be a voice today, but I will also be moderating the Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A now. We will take questions at the end, but you can enter them anytime as we go along.
Awesome, thank you, Minnow. All right, so really cool thing about the Arboretum is that it actually has been around since 1977, but the idea of the Arboretum, or the seed that was planted for the idea of the Arboretum, was actually started back in 1972, and it was a group of horticulture and landscape students that came to Humber College and said, hey, you know what, we're learning all this amazing stuff, but it'd be great if there was a place for us to practice this and put this into place. And so that's when the Arboretum Arboretum, as I said, the seed of the Arboretum was planted, and about 5 years later in 1977, it was officially formed. And one thing that makes the Humber Arboretum unique within the city of Toronto is the fact that it is a tri-partnership. And our tri-partnership is made up of Humber College, Toronto Region Conservation Authority, and City of Toronto. And because of this really makes the Humber Arboretum one of the cornerstone parks of the city of Toronto. It really shows what can occur, or what can happen when you have 3 organizations that are dedicated to conservation, education, preservation of natural spaces, and education of people in general. And when you combine those together, it's something that's really quite incredible. And I think that there is just such such an amazing future for the Arboretum as well at Humber College. So many more opportunities, and there's already been so many amazing things done. It's really exciting. So 1977 was when that formed, and it's been growing ever since. And really, the coolest thing about the Arboretum, in my opinion, is the fact that it is right in the middle of the city. There's all sorts of sign of urban life around us, but it is this little beautiful urban green space, and it really shows you the life that can exist within these green spaces in our city. And our green space is 250 acres, and it's open daily to the public. It's open from sunrise to sunset. And it's an incredible mixture of public gardens with natural areas. We have a forest, an environmentally significant area on site, which is our forest. That's the City of Toronto environmentally significant area. We have some beautiful shrubland meadows. The West Humber River flows through our property. And we've even got some really cool constructed wetlands that TRCA has built on site. And they're sort of an example of natural stormwater management. So these are just a couple examples of how our partners work together. And of course, that's not even to mention the numerous programs that utilize the Arboretum for programming specifically. So it's very much still used as an outdoor classroom today, although it is expanded well beyond the horticultural and landscape focus that was sort of the inception of the Arboretum. And we have strong connections with different programs like early childhood education, fitness, lots of different fitness and health promotion programs, things like that that are focusing more on getting people outside and the benefits of nature and wellness. But some great connections with some of the media programs, photography, journalism, all sorts of different programs that we are connected with. And of course, still our core courses like landscape and horticulture and arboriculture. This is something that I just think is so special about the Arboretum. Think of it as an outdoor lab, think of it as an outdoor classroom, but it doesn't stop there, because at this time of year, when we are on site again, because it will become, we'll be back into the beautiful Arboretum once and again, but right now it is the Arboretum would be full of people just hanging out with their friends and chilling out of the side and looking the gardens starting to bloom. It's a really incredible sort of communal space on site as well that people really love. Our director Alex often used to in the past, like just send us lines of Twitter feeds that were just about all students from University of Guelph, Humber, or Humber College just sharing their love of the Humber Arb, and that's really something quite special. And that building that you see there, that is our educational hub on property or on site, and that is known as the Center for Urban Ecology. It was one of the first LEED Gold certified buildings in the city of Toronto. It officially opened up in 2007, I believe. 2007, and it is incredible. We've had thousands upon thousands of children within that center learning about nature, whether it was in nature camp or whether it's in our outdoor education programs or Humber College programs. Just some really incredible learning that goes on in there, because it's all connected with nature, and that's really fun, and people really enjoy learning, I think, about the natural world that surrounds them. All right, so that's a little bit of an intro to the Humber Arb, just about a little bit of its history with the student population and sort of how it's grown over the years. But I think what's really important is to talk and to show you some of the ways that we support students. Now, the neat thing with the Arboretum is that supporting students is something that we are extremely passionate about. And so we've, over the years, developed some really strong programs to help students gain really valuable experiential, or just really valuable experience. And a lot of that comes within leadership, communication, collaboration, all of these core skills that employers have identified, and really trying to provide those opportunities to students, whether it's a camp counselor or working out within the grounds and keeping our public garden beautiful, or working with our stewardship coordinator and keeping invasive species in check. Or, like I said, there's just so many neat things that are going on. The biggest thing that we have, the biggest volunteer program we have available to students, though, is our Learning by Leading program. And this program is truly something special. Minnow, you can help me out here. Would this be our 5th year in it now around, or are we getting into maybe our 4th or 5th year that we've been?
I think we're just wrapping up our 4th. We're about to start our 5th.
So we've been working on developing this program over the last 4 years. And what's really special about this is that we were handpicked by a massive university in the United States, UC Davis, which lots of people are familiar with UCLA. Well, this is UC Davis campus, just a different campus. But University of California, Davis is renowned in the public garden world for their educational connection with the public garden and arboretum they have on site there. And what's really neat is that about 5 years ago, the American Public Garden Association held their massive annual conference here in Ontario. Because even though it's called the APGA, American Public Garden Association, Canadian Gardens are a part of that as well. Just because it's an incredible organization, and like I said, dedicated to public garden, education, all these wonderful things. But when they held their workshop, or their conference here, we held a special workshop at Humber College, and we had professors from Harvard, Cornell, UC Davis, UCLA, all from the States, different parts of Canada, coming together to show and to see how we connected students with the lands. And they were so impressed by our work study opportunities, our placements, our internships that we were offering, that they handpicked us as their only garden in Canada to take their Learning by Leading program to an international scope. So they chose one other university, University of Georgia, down in the United States. That was their one I guess, United States pilot project, and then the Canadian pilot project was us. And since then, we have created this incredible program that's all volunteer based, it's CCR connected, and each year we work on improving this and getting this, is making this better and better. And we have an awesome launch coming up in the fall that is sort of the culmination of these 4 years of work coming together in our, really what I feel is our true official launch of this incredible program. So keep an eye on that. Great volunteer, lots of ability to develop amazing skills. Now, that is a volunteer base. Sometimes, you want to earn some money while you're gaining some experience, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And one of the coolest things about Humber is they provide work study opportunities for students that can showcase that they need some financial assistance. So this is a really cool way of making some money, but gaining some incredible experience. And certain things that we have available for that is when we are on site, we hire camp counselors, we have student gardeners, we've got office and events assistants. So really, I mean, we try to have there's a wide range of programs that are interested in those opportunities. Lots of times, we may have student gardeners from the media program or other programs. So if you're not in a program related directly to the outdoors, don't worry. There's still tons of ability to connect with the art. And that's, like I said, internships and placements. These ones are a little bit more handpicked by ourselves, only because we have limited staff. We're not a huge team, and we want to make sure that when we are coming on board for an internship or a placement, that it is going to be the best experience that you can possibly have. Skill development is extremely important to us. Something that Humber has recently launched is something referred to as the Humber Learning Outcomes. At UC Davis, they call them 21st century skills, but these are skills not chosen by Humber, not chosen by ourselves at the Arboretum, but skills identified by employers, saying to colleges and universities, saying these are the skills we really are looking for in your students. We want them to be able to demonstrate and explain how they have showcased skills like leadership, collaboration, communication, professionalism, innovation, all of these things tie into what, like I said, are referred to as core skills. And these Humber learning outcomes are sort of separated. The meta skill is critical thinking, looking at all the pieces to the puzzle, putting them together and understanding that there's different ways they may fit together. Breaking that down into mindsets, sustainability, equity, diversity, inclusion, and systems thinking, or as we in the Arboretum love to call it, ecosystems thinking, but showing that interconnectedness of ideas and different lived experiences coming together to provide this really strong foundation. And then, of course, sustainability. And that's something where when we think of Humber College, you may or may not, Humber College right now is one of the top leaders in all educational institutes, in my opinion, in Canada regarding sustainability. Now, that's my own personal opinion, but I have been there from the beginning and seen what Humber has accomplished with the creation of the Office of Sustainability, the hiring of their first director, and watching this office grow and the projects they take on. And I'm talking massive, massive projects. Just to give you an example, we have a really cool parking garage at Humber College that you can see through much of the Arboretum. It's called the Commuter Hub. The Commuter Hub has over 3,000 solar panels on it, and it powers our technology building across the road, which is the Barrett Center for Technology Innovation, which is full of like the craziest automated robots. Like, it's not my world, so I'm probably not really doing it I'm probably doing it a disservice, but I'm telling you, I love nature, and I walk through that place and my jaw drops at the just the different machinery and everything that goes on in there. They got a huge esports lab. The cool thing about that is the fact that that building is being powered by the sun. And Humber is very much dedicated to net zero buildings. They just had a big net zero retrofit. So it's really cool, and that's larger scale, but there's a lot of initiatives for students at a smaller scale to learn about sustainability. And the cool thing about the ARB is we bring in that environmental scope, that outdoor lens, which looks at the health of our natural communities and making sure that we're not just focused on humans, we're focused on everything. So that's sort of a little bit about when we're looking at internships and placements. And our co-curricular record, like I said, think of your co-curricular record as your transcript to show all the cool things you did and ways that you built skills outside of your academics. This is something that is becoming very, very popular with employers, and something that's just a really cool way for you to show, you know, how you chose your journey to build skills. And something we're going to talk a little bit about, and this is going to be ongoing, so it's almost wrapping up now, but we're going to talk to you about the iNatural Student Challenge, because this is something that Marilyn, or AKA Minnow, actually thought of, and this is something I think that is here to stay. iNaturalist is a citizen science-based app that can connect you with nature in a whole new way you never thought possible. But don't forget, out of all those really, really cool things, the #1 reason for the Arboretum on site is right at the bottom. As far as students, you have a huge amount of stress, especially when you're on site and you got a long transit commute, whatever. You have the Arboretum on site as a place to unwind. The mental health benefits that the Arboretum will offer you will be worth it, even if you don't join any of those opportunities. Just hanging out in the Arb will be worth its weight in gold. Trust me, it is just an incredible place, and you haven't even seen that many pictures of it yet. Wait till you see it firsthand. It is unbelievable. I've seen student reaction to it, and some of them are quite funny when you see them first walk into the Arboretum and are like, whoa, this place is on site. Super neat. And just to let you know, if you do choose to live in residence, yes, residence is built in a public garden. So you find me another place in Canada, I can say, oh yes, here's our student residence that just happens to be located in our beautiful public garden. Have students telling us about looking at white-tailed deer when they wake up in the morning in the courtyard. All sorts of really cool stuff. And just another neat addition a neat addition to that student experience from the Arboretum perspective. So this is just going to be a quick little summary as to how the Learning by Leading program is sort of set up right now. Now, I told you we are bringing this together in the fall for a cumulative launch, but all of these branches are still, they're still there. We've just sort of created a more common first semester for students that may not be able to go for a full year but really want to join this and in kind of connecting it to a program. So the ARB Ambassadors is our first branch of the Learning by Leading program. This is the one that's been around right from the get-go, and it's changed a lot actually in the different years. In the beginning, it was very focused on stewardship. Obviously now it's focused on virtual and looking at virtual connections with students, but has still been really, really well received. And then we have our ARB Creatives. ARB Creatives is more focused on, so think of an ambassador as that face-to-face, that peer-to-peer advocacy for the Arboretum and telling people what it's all about. The Creatives, very, very similar, except you're using a digital platform to do this. So really kind of a fun way, if you like working in social media or graphic design or things like that, there's opportunities for you to explore that creative side of advocacy and promotion. And again, this one is on hold right now as well. And remember, they're not, well, they're on hold. Some of them are on hold because they occur on site. So the environmental stewardship one is on hold, but for that one it's a bit different. You work as a student gardener throughout the summer, and you're connected with our stewardship coordinator throughout the summer to help with different stewardship initiatives and invasive species control. And then we choose our two co-coordinators at the end of that summer who work and they train and they learn to the following year then lead a group of student gardeners and teach them stewardship practices and help with stewardship on site as well. Coolest, well, not, I shouldn't say coolest, but coolest in the fact that it's the brand new branch, and neat in the fact that it's connected to a certificate program, is our community connectors. This was also an idea through Minnow or Marilyn, who knew about this global citizenship certificate and found out that they needed 40 hours of volunteer as part of this. And we thought, you know, the Arboretum, one of our strategic pillars is world-ready citizens. And we're like, what an amazing opportunity this would be to talk to people and help take that community stewardship lens, or that, you know, and showcase some of the things that are happening in the Arboretum, so that if they do go out into the global community, they can bring those ideas and those skills they built within this program with them. The neat thing about this is that all the other programs are very much reliant on volunteer. This is volunteer as well, but it's connected to a certificate. So really, really neat opportunity. You do have to be enrolled in the Global Citizenship Certificate Program to be a community connector, but the way we're launching it in the fall is going to be really exciting, because it's going to be a combination of all these amazing students together in one semester, learning together, participating together, and then you'll have the opportunity to carry on to a second semester if you choose, or you can just say, hey, you know what? I got that great CCR experience and I got all these other CCR credits connected to that. So we really want to make it a valuable CCR experience in a lot of different ways. All right. So that's a little summary on a little summary. That was a pretty big summary on Learning by Leading, but really, really cool opportunity, and one that I love because it's inclusive of all doesn't matter, like every program in the school, any student can join this, and that's something that's really, really special. All right, next slide. So just wanted to give you a quick little thing on the iNaturalist Student Challenge. So I won't go into too much detail. If you're looking for some really interesting stuff and to hear or to see even more or read even more on what I'm telling you today, check out some of our research, all of that cool stuff. You can go to humber.ca/arboretum/students. And I mean, I suggest you explore the whole website, but there's some really incredible stuff there to show how we connect with students in some other ways as well. But iNaturalist. This, if you have not heard of this app, you need to go on your phone right now or on your desktop and download this, because if you are a nature nut, or if you have ever walked down the road, looked at a tree and been like, I wonder what that name of that plant is, or I wonder what that insect is, iNaturalist is your friend. And the coolest thing about it is the fact that you take a picture and it works on a single observation, and then you upload it to this community of naturalists from around the world who are on there who just want to help you figure out what it is. And so you don't have to know the names. You can literally put something up there as a grass or a tree, a bird, and people will try to work with the picture you took and help you identify what it is. If you get three people that agree, it becomes research grade, and that connects to scientific database that's helping to track different living organisms around the world. I mean, this thing will even identify animal scat, tree bark. It's not perfect by any means. In fact, it's quite fun if you want to have some. It will always give you the main suggestion, but then it will give you some other things that it might be. And the fun thing to do is take a picture of yourself. And then upload it as an observation and see what it says, and you can always have fun with seeing what it's going to tell you that it's a Homo sapien, but then it's like it could also be, and then we always have fun to see what else iNaturalist thinks you might look like. Maybe it could be a black maple. You never know. It's been pretty hilarious, some of the funny things that you can do with that. But a really neat way to build your ecological knowledge. And it also has a really cool kid-focused app called Seek, which is just a little bit more user-friendly and has a couple things that are built into it to help. Has little challenges and stuff like that, which are fun for adults as well. Trust me, I've done them with my boys. It's quite neat. So a really neat opportunity. It is CCR certified. Now this closes at the end of April, and you need 30 observations before you get your CCR credit, and they have to be high quality observations. You can't do them all in one day. There's only a certain number you can do each day. But if you're interested, check out our website, find out about it, and if you, like I said, this is something that it will be here if you do choose to come to Humber. This is something that is going to be available, and it's just a really cool way to gain CCR credit and learn about nature on site or wherever you are, really. I think some of we've had observations. Some of our students this year have been from all over the world because it's been virtual. Can you tell me I'm forgetting the person's name right now who was taking observations from, I'm trying to think of...
Alexandra was sending us some observations from Russia. We got some very cool birds from Russia.
Yes, that's what it was. It was really neat. And so I love the fact that, like I said, it can be open to wherever you are in the world, and you can do it completely virtually as well. All right. So, Minnow, I think... Yes, we have time for questions if we have any in the chat.
So we don't have any in the chat yet, or we had a few, but they were more general Humber College questions. So I've been answering those as we go. But yes, if anyone has questions related to the Arboretum, feel free to drop them in the chat now. While we're waiting for that, Jimmy, I was just thinking if people don't have questions, maybe we can... Oh, sure, yeah, if you want. Oh, hang on. Let me put you live for a second there before you switch your screen, or it's maybe going to be weird. There we go. So yeah, go ahead and switch your screen. But yeah, I was thinking too, we could just we could talk about a few of the students, the actual students who sort of have been involved with the Arboretum and how that, like Nikki and you know, and just and Angel, and well, as I say, if anybody has questions, feel free to absolutely put them in there. But you know, if you
yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. So I'll talk to you about a couple. So there's a couple of students that are I mean, we get to work with so many different students, especially through Nature Camp and things like that. But within the Learning by Leading program, there's certain students. The girl Nikki that Marilyn is referring to, she was a student for a couple of years within Humber, and kind of went to a couple of different programs to really find what she was super passionate about. But the cool thing is that Nikki stayed connected with the Arboretum. Literally, I'm almost positive it was her first year on site. She was a huge nature nut, massive animal lover. And so she started as a student gardener, and then she was an amazing worker, really keen. And so we always really try to, you know, keep students that are passionate about what they're doing and want to work with the Arboretum on as long as we can. Quite often, it's not uncommon for students to come join us in their third year and be with us in their last year as well. But Nikki was really neat because of the fact that she not only got to work with a student gardener, she also did a placement with us in the Outdoor Education Center. But then when she found a trade that she was really interested, which was in landscaping, she got to work, because she had been with the Arboretum, she got to work with our, I call him our construction guru. I don't even know what his official title is. It's like, it's not a communications assistant. She's the communications guru. She assists no one. But Tillette is unbelievable. Like, he is a Red Seal landscape technician, and he was able to mentor Nikki, and like, the skill development and the confidence and the ability to see a person like accelerate in a trade because of the mentorship aspect that she had with one of our staff was super cool. And I think that, Tillette is very, very high standards, and by the end of it, he would 100% be like, okay, Nikki, I need you to go over and do this. Yeah, no problem. I don't know. That's if it's cutting like giant limestone blocks with a quick cut saw, or putting up a timber. Like, it was really cool to see that long-term skill progression. And there was a student just before Nikki that was also connected to the grounds, and his name was Lucas, and very much the same thing. Lucas was with us for probably about 4 or 5 years in a couple of different programs. But the skill development that he gained over that time, and the confidence, it's just a part. The cool thing is that you gain these types of skills in a lot of work that you do. It doesn't have to be within the Arboretum. The Arboretum is just special because it's outside, and you get to work outside, and you get to help create this beautiful space. Now, those were students more connected with the trades. But we've seen just some unbelievable students coming through our Learning by Leading program. Marilyn was just mentioning Angel, and Angel's really, really special. He's an international student from Mexico City, and he already had an engineering degree in sustainable design, I believe. But he came to Humber College to take the Sustainable Energy and Building Technology program I'm losing the word here. I don't want to say add-on. It just sounds so blah. But as a compliment, that's what I was thinking of, as a compliment to his engineering degree. And he started as an Arboretum ambassador, and he was just this unbelievable nature net and really this transformational leader. And he had done a lot of really cool stuff within his university back in the city of Mexico, or Mexico City. And I can't think of the name of the exact university, and I don't want to do any disservice. But I think that the cool thing was he came here, worked as an ambassador, started seeing that children connection to nature, and working with youth in nature, and working with connecting people with nature. And he did a placement with us at our winter camp, and he was hooked. And he actually switched programs into early childhood education because he wanted to combine some of the skills he had from his engineering degree, but he also wanted to have that ability to work with youth and to impart that really neat sort of nature connection and that knowledge of nature with them. So really, really special. But that's just one. I mean, we have another person.
Well, and actually,
yeah,
before you go on to other students, well, we had two sort of related questions about visiting the Arboretum. I did answer them in the chat, but if you want to give a little more detail, the questions were, can you go explore the Humber Arboretum with your family, and do they allow dogs in the Arboretum? So I've given the short version, but if you just want to talk a little bit about visiting.
Yeah. So one of the coolest things about the Arboretum is, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, and I'm trying to think of another area in Toronto, but it is easily the most transit accessible green space in the city of Toronto. Now, if anyone's listening and you want to fact check me on it, go right ahead. But 1,500 buses.
Sam Smith is pretty good too.
Sam Smith, yeah, Sam Smith, but does Sam Smith get like York Region and and Mississauga and Brampton? See, this is the thing. We have 1,500 buses that come through Humber College property every day through the giant bus terminal, and it is a thing of wonder. So very accessible and an amazing space to visit with your family. And in fact, with your family, I encourage it because that's your family union. Obviously, it's because it is still open to the park. It's still an area in the city of Toronto. It's a natural area, so people are still able to go out there and connect and get exercise. But yeah, like I said, open from sunrise to sunset. And the neat thing is that right now at the entrance point to the Arboretum, we have some landmarks at the Arboretum that you will know when you see them, but I'm going to give you this one. There is a large green bubble that is just off of parking lot 1. You won't mistake it. It's a big bubble. And right across from that is the entrance to the Arboretum. And you will see our new, couple years ago, Tillette built this incredible entrance gazebo there. And it's got this really cool outdoor mosaic, which is pretty unique for Canada. It's called the Tree of Hope mosaic. But in that little gazebo, aside from the awesome mosaic, is our big giant site map. And that will help orient you when you come on site as to where you are in the garden. The garden's a nice, easy trail that you can kind of walk around, and you can kind of see your entry and exit point if you want. If you want to start exploring some of the natural areas, most of our trails are in loops. But there's lots of great landmarks all over the property that will help find your way back, because we don't have an actual physical map that you can take with you. But like I said, the map is the site map is very user friendly. Lots and lots of different landmarks on there to help you navigate the site, and definitely encourage. As far as dogs are always welcome in the Arboretum. In fact, I'm missing one of our best buddies, Shirley, who is she is the dog owner. But the dog is Lucky, and Lucky is probably one of the most famous animals in the Arboretum, and definitely the most loved pet. But the biggest thing for dogs coming to the Arboretum is they need to stay on leash. And that's for a couple reasons. First off, we have coyotes in the Arboretum. They're very healthy. I just saw one the other day. No danger to humans. But if you're letting your dog run wild, it's something where you're taking that risk. But more importantly, it's actually the dogs that will disturb the natural areas, go off trail, wreck up, sensitive plants, because we do have some very unique and rare plants in the Humber Arboretum, one of them being the white trout lily. Wintertime, dogs running or chasing after deer can actually, can be very, very can really be harmful to the deer because of the fact that they have very low food. They have a poor diet in the winter, and that consumption of energy in that short a period of time can be really, it can be deadly sometimes if the winter is harsh enough. So there's lots of reasons to keep your dogs on trail, but those are just a couple, but a great place to come and walk your dog. Absolutely beautiful. And like I said, you got a nice shady forested area, beautiful sunny meadow, shrubland, nice, beautiful paved trail that goes along the Humber River. So if you're a biker, or if you just want a more accessible path, check out Toronto's cycling paths. There's a map that they have, and we have the West Humber Trail that goes through us. It was actually the Pan Am path, if you're familiar with that. And as part of the Pan Am Games, the first stop of the Pan Am path was actually up at Clairville Reservoir. They expanded the West Humber Trail all the way into Clairville. And so the Arboretum was actually the first official stop, but the starting point is over in Clairville Reservoir, and it meanders all the way down through the beautiful West Humber Valley, connects with the main Humber just around the Weston area, and then it goes all the way down to Lakeshore. So unbelievable trail system, and just an incredible space to visit.
Great, thank you, Jimmy. And I'm just going to mention, you did mention trail maps. We do have trail maps available on the website. So if you know you're coming and you want to go in advance and check out the self-guided activity section of the website, you can print off or just download to your device like a PDF trail map if you'd like. I've put the link for the Arboretum's website in the chat there. Now let me just double check our questions here. Okay, so we don't have any new questions, but again, people feel free to continue to put them in if you would like. We've got, what have we got? We got about 10 minutes left in the session.
Well, one thing I'll mention there, Minnow, just because I saw it there, people were wondering, oh, look at that big greenhouse full of all those plants. So a couple cool things about just, and like I said, I mentioned a couple student gardeners. I was telling you a little bit about Angel and changing his course, but I was just about to tell you before I get into the greenhouse about a really special student named Mia, aka Red Panda. And Mia is really special. They were probably the first person that joined as an Arboretum ambassador. Would you confirm? Her and Jose, I think, were the two first, or Javier and Red Panda, I think, were the two very, very first ambassadors outside of outside of people who had been nature camp counselors with us. But Red Panda had come to our CCR Connected workshops even before Learning by Leading had started, and then ended up, we thought, hey, this person seems really keen. asked them if they wanted to be a part of they applied to be part of the camp team, and then they were with us for a couple of years as a camp leader, and then took over being a co-coordinator for the Arboretum Ambassador program, because within our Learning by Leading program, you start off as a volunteer within the branch, but if you work your way up to become a mentor or a co-coordinator, that's actually a paid work study position or just a paid position regardless. So, and that's something important because we want it to be a student-focused program, students mentoring students, with us being in there to be like, hey, if you want some information, let me help you. But a lot of Learning by Leading is definitely meant to be student-focused, student-driven, with myself and other staff as simply being staff mentors. If they need advice, we teach them about the Arboretum and all the wonderful things, but then we let them take that knowledge and run with it and come up with their own ideas and ways to connect with students, because quite frankly, they know much better than we do, or at least me, because it's just they're working and connecting with their peers. So it's really incredible, this program. I've seen it, just to give you an example, I did reference UC Davis. UC Davis started this program with 8 students about 11 years ago. They've got over 100 students and about 15 different branches now. So we have 4. But now UC Davis also has a lot of programming directly connected to their public garden, like ecosystem restoration and things like that. But it's incredible to see. And like I said, 8 students to over 100, and I see the same potential with our program because, like I said, the skills that you develop are becoming very, very sought after in the world. And that's another thing. We teach you how to sell those skills as well. So we don't just stop at, you don't just gain them. Then we tell you, hey, this is how you sell these skills to an employer, because that can be tough to tell people all the cool things that you know. Now, the picture of the greenhouse, now the little baby fawn, I'll tell you, I've been at the Arboretum since 2005. I have seen 4 fawns in my entire time at the Arboretum. So that is not a common sighting, but really, really special. The pictures of the greenhouse, though, something that's really amazing. As a public garden, we have lots of perennial gardens, and a lot of those perennial gardens have native plant species mixed into them. The garden right out front of the Center for Urban Ecology is all native plant species, and actually the back as well. And the cool thing about the greenhouse, though, is all these beautiful garden plants that you see by the benches and around, those are all grown in our greenhouse. So when we look at sustainability, as opposed to having these sourced out in places that we don't know how they're watering or what kind of chemicals or fertilizers they're using on their plants, and just buying plants in wholesale, we work with students and our greenhouse tech. We grow plants from seed. We grow about 20 to 25,000 annuals every year, grown with students, by students, for the garden, planted by students, taken care of by students. So it's a pretty special, but that's not the only connection that greenhouse has. We also have a connection to the culinary program, where we grow fresh herbs for that program throughout the year. And then we have right behind residence, we have our food learning garden, which is a garden that right now it's just been newly built, but we're looking at, it supports the culinary program right now, and a little cafe at the bottom of the Barrett Center for Technology Innovation. I can't think of the name of that cafe right now, Minnow, so if you know it, you can help me out here, but I can't think of it right now. The Spot or something like that? Anyways,
the Spot sounds right, but I'm not sure either. We didn't prep for this conversation.
No, we did not. I'm dropping baseless fact, but it's not hard to find. There's only one cafe in the Barrett Center for Technology, so it's not hard. But I think there's just some really cool connections when we look at sustainability from a local food perspective. Because that food learning garden, the goal of that is to support students who need food in res, students that need food in the community who needs food, supporting those, supporting the community, supporting the Humber and the University of Guelph Humber community. All these things are super important. That picture that you see right there, that's the we call it the Humber Pond, but it's the Humber Pond project. This is the new wetland that was built there. That is the largest restoration project on site. This is our brand new accessible trail that was just built, that connects the student residence and the public garden space right down to the West Humber Trail. And I mean, it's accessible. The cool thing about this trail, it used to be the least accessible trail on our property, and we tried to close it down because the amount of switchbacks that were going to be needed to kind of make it accessible, were just not going to be possible from the Arboretum perspective. So the closing it down did not work. People just kept using it. So we thought, okay, so we actually, this is where the power of partnerships can come in. So City of Toronto, TRCA, Humber College came together and like, okay, this is a service to the community. This is a service to students. What can we do with this trail? And they have totally revamped it. There's a set of 3 different switchbacks, but it is a completely accessible trail that connects you from the beautiful garden, which is all accessible trails in our garden, right down to the accessible trail that goes through one of Toronto's most beautiful ravines. And so really, really neat sort of focus for those 2 little pictures that you saw there. I know they're flicking pretty quick. I guess I could have paused it so that I wasn't trying to talk to you about something that was 10 pictures ago. But yeah, so really cool connections all around, just a wonderful place. But again, I always tell students there's no pressure to connect with the Arboretum. There's things that we're working on to make sure that all students know about the Arboretum when they come, and that's our biggest goal, is to let every student that comes to Humber College or University of Guelph Humber know about the Arboretum before you come on site, so that when you do come on, you know it's there. You know it's there for as a service to you as a student. If it's as simple as mental health, then utilize it as that, because that is an extremely important role. And that's the coolest thing about it, is that Humber is very dedicated to the health and wellness of its staff and students. It was the first college in Canada to sign on to the Okanagan Charter, which is all focused on health and wellness within faculty, staff, students, the whole gamut of, post-secondary institutions. Which is just another way where Humber is a true leader in sustainability. We're actually on our 2nd sustainability strategic plan, and it's just incredible to see what's been accomplished throughout that. So the wellness aspect of nature is, like I said, makes the Arboretum just worth coming in itself, because I've been to a lot of different campuses and there's not the same amount of green space that you have at the Arboretum. There's spaces in the Arboretum where you put a person in there and you blindfold them and took them in there, took their blindfold, they would never know they were in the city. You would think you were in some oasis. Now you could hear the city, so you would eventually figure that out. But I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. I've taken students and visitors from other parts of the world, and they've come through and they've been like, this looks and feels like a jungle. So it's probably a lot different than you think, but we got some really cool opportunities, even in the wintertime when we're back on site. Snowshoes, or students are able to come out and rent out snowshoes to go on site and take have a cool little winter experience. We do chickadee feeding in the wintertime, where you can go out and have chickadees come down and feed from your hand. So all sorts of really neat natural opportunities to connect. But again, it's the wellness benefits of nature that are really at the forefront of our world today, and that's a great thing, because if you want to think of it as a medicine, it's think of it as a very equitable medicine. There's no pricing, there's no fees. It's just about getting outside and going for a walk and enjoying nature. So, Minnow, any other questions before we wrap this up?
No, we don't have any other questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
Last chance, if anybody did have something they wanted to get in there, you can still let us know. But yeah, we've only got about 3 minutes left here, so I think you covered it pretty well, Jimmy. Any final? People are definitely. I think one thing to just make clear is that the Arboretum is connected to Humber College, but it's open to everyone to come visit. Yeah. So the idea about bringing your friends, obviously, right now with COVID, you have to please respect all social distancing guidelines and this kind of thing. And the Center for Urban Ecology is temporarily closed itself, but the grounds, come out and explore. If you're thinking about coming to Humber, come take a walk, check it out. Yeah, I don't know, Jimmy. Any other last 2 minutes?
That was perfect. But like I said, I think that some of the neat things is just, to me, I've just seen some of the lifelong friendships that have formed at the Arboretum as well, within our student gardeners, within our camp counselors. It's just I think that we're a pretty incredible team, and I think that we have a huge amount of respect for you as a student, and with that respect, we really want to make it the best experience possible. But I think the fact that it attracts a certain type of student that, and like I said, there's people that I've worked with in my first year, and they're still best friends with the leaders they were with that they worked with for a couple of summers, and that's something really special. I may have lost my connection, but to know that, you know, with those individuals, but and not fully, they always kind of come back and let, you know, give you little updates here and there. But to see that you see that friendship form over a place like the Arboretum is truly, truly magical. And even for the students I never get to meet, but I see out playing soccer on the lawns or playing frisbee or just chilling out, you know, beside their buddies, sitting on the hill or reading on by themselves. Like, I think of all those students too and how much it means to them. And that's really, like I said, when we work with students, I always tell them, you know, never underestimate the power of something that can change a single person's life. So sometimes when you do tours at the Arboretum or we do things for students, all students have different schedules. So we may not get a whole bunch of students out. Maybe we get 3 or 4. But you know what I always tell them, if you make a difference in one of those 4 students, that's incredible. That's a very, very powerful gift. And that's why, to me, telling students about the Arboretum is a gift. It's a gift we're giving you from the Arb because we've been to the Arb. We get to live there and work there. We know how special it is, but it is a really, really magical place. And I think that's sort of how I'll wrap it up for the open house. Should I stop sharing my screen now, Minnow, or should we just leave with pictures?
Well, I just switched back to you just to say goodbye.
Oh no!
And we do have a thank you. We have a thank you in the comments there. So, and thank you all for joining us. And
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of Open House. If you have other
Absolutely.
sessions coming up.
And a big thank you to all the incredible people that put this virtual open house together. I know the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. These people are truly incredible. So please, when you are in sessions, make sure that you know, you drop in a thank you for all the unsung heroes in events like this, because there's a lot of them. So a big thank you to all of them as well. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine and get out in nature. Talk to you later, everyone.